Good afternoon, everybody. This is a live emergency briefing as we have a dangerous tornado-warned storm just to the northwest of Brookville, Ohio. This is well to the northwest of Dayton as well. There you can see Dayton in the bottom portion of the screen. We did have a supercell storm that developed just to the northwest of Dayton that also tried to get going within that warm frontal zone. That one has yet to develop tornadic characteristics yet. Still a severe thunderstorm warning there. This one, though, halfway between Arcanum and Brookville, very dangerous storm there as well. You can see this hook wrapping all the way around. You got your forward flank gust front basically parallel to the direction that this storm is moving. That's a very tight forward flank gust front as well, showing that there is some big time inflow coming in from the south in this storm along that warm frontal zone. We also have another echo here going up just to the south of Brookville, and there is a decent chance that this thing is going to be absorbed by this tornado producing storm. It looked like just a little bit ago that this thing was about to produce a tornado, might have produced a tornado already, but it looks like that rotation is a little bit diffuse on this latest scan, so it might be taking a bit of a breather. Any second, though, a tornadic storm could come out right about that direction. You can see the RFD gust front there. You can see the westerlies behind that RFD gust front, and really the location you have to watch for that tornado potential is right at the apex of that rear flank downdraft. And that's where you'll get an enhancement in that cyclonic vorticity, a tightening up of that circulation. You get inflow coming in this case, in the storm relative sense, out of the southeast, getting lifted up and over the apex of that RFD, basically like a bulging dry line. You can even see the convergence here along that forward flank gust front. Forward flank downdraft is where all the big hail falls up there. So this is definitely a dangerous storm just to the south of the Gordon area that I'm tracking very closely. You can see this very well-defined hook-like appendage, quite cyclonic in nature. You can also see this bulging RFD gust front. Not a ton of rain in this RFD, so it's likely a very visible tornado if it is on the ground. Probably is a very low wall cloud as well. Ray Bohawk is on this storm right now, and he's telling me that it's a very low ground scrubber wall cloud, but hasn't produced a tornado just yet, but has been very close as this thing has been interacting with the warm front. Earlier, we were watching that supercell that has since evaporated as it moved over the stable side. In fact, there's nothing left of that thing. A big blob of stable air is dominating central Ohio right now, and that's preventing these supercells from developing northeast of this zone. But that warm front continues to be in this area across western Ohio. And these supercells will mature on the unstable side, move off to the northeast, and then once they hit this warm frontal zone, that's when they go nuts. The 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity is in excess of 250 out here. Brookville needs to be in your safe place. Dayton, you just have to monitor this closely. This storm is moving off to the southeast. Eventually, it's going to be near Dayton. The question is if this can stay anchored on that warm front for that long, and I think that the answer is yes. I think that this storm is going to keep going, just keep propagating off to the east-southeast. Eventually, it will reach the Dayton, Ohio location. We'll have to see what happens if it can survive this little merger, but there's a little echo here that developed right on that warm frontal zone. That's going to be absorbed by this supercell, and sometimes that absorption process can absolutely invigorate these supercell storms and, in fact, encourage tornado production. Other times, though, they can have a detrimental effect. But you can definitely see this surging RFD gust front, mesocyclone on the western flank of this storm. Very well-developed mesocyclone as well. We've been tracking this thing for a very long time. It's possible we've got a round 3 trying to mature here on the Indiana side. These also could mature into supercell storms as they move off to the east. Let me turn down volume a little bit. Thank you guys for your stars support coming in here, supporting live briefings like this, live storm chasing as well. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be doing, but wouldn't still probably be doing live briefings, but definitely wouldn't be storm chasing as much. We wouldn't be doing any science. So thank you, Facebook supporters, for making our science possible. We've got the Dominator weather station in production that should be out in a couple of weeks. But first, we've got to break down this immediate tornado threat near the Brookville, Ohio area. We're watching this mesocyclone on the western side. It's got a very tight forward flank gust front. It's got a little echo here that's about to be absorbed into the southern side of this storm. And we initially had this supercell try to develop along the warm front right northwest of Dayton. It slid through Dayton. It's dropping some pretty big hail, maybe up to golf ball size near Fairborn area, but it looks like that one's going elevated rapidly as it moves from west to east into the stable air. But definitely to the northwest of Brookville, that's the dangerous portion of this storm, to the northwest of Clayton, Ohio as well, west of Inglewood there, northeast of Lewisburg, right near the intersection of these three counties. And this is where that tornado would be located. Right now it is absorbing that little echo just off to its south, but still a very well-defined mesocyclone. There you can see the inflow streaming in on the northeasterlies. You can see this RFD bulging out to the south, westerlies off to the south of it. Inflow getting transported in from southeast to northwest, eventually reaching up to that mesocyclone. Looking off a little bit further southeast, our former severe thunderstorm warned storm that developed along the warm front just to the northwest of Dayton just kind of has this general convergence on it now. So this supercell storm is starting to fade out as it has moved from west to east into the stable air. Right now we are monitoring this dominant supercell storm that's probably going to continue going all the way down toward the Dayton area. Look at the echo tops explode on this thing. And we were monitoring this on an hour-long stream over at YouTube as well. Then came over here to Facebook, did another stream as it blew up. Now we're back on Facebook monitoring the echo tops here. I'm not chasing. I could have flown out there this morning. I'm preparing for my varsity tutors class that comes up next Wednesday. I'm here in Colorado eating a lot of activated charcoal, cleaning out my colon, slinging live briefings, radar updates here. With this tornado-warned storm to the north of Brookville. I do a combination of storm chasing and live briefings. I try to chase every single storm that I can, and also still maintain longevity in my storm chasing career. But when I can't be out there, then I sling live radar breakdowns like this. For the last 25 years, 35 years, all I've been doing is looking at radar data nonstop of these events. So definitely can recognize in advance when these things are going to go tornadic. And we've been watching this one for a couple of hours now. We've also got a ground truth on it. Ray Bohawk is still chasing this storm. Looks like it's struggling just a little bit with this merger of this convection near Brookville. But eventually this storm's going to merge. This updraft's going to merge with this storm. Then we'll likely see this hook swing back around on the south side of Brookville and potentially go tornadic just as it's coming into Dayton. So this cell merger happening just to the northwest of Dayton is pretty bad timing because it's going to have more than enough time to survive this cell merger, probably be invigorated by it, and then this storm could easily go tornadic as it's coming into Dayton. So keep an eye on this storm to the northwest of Dayton. You don't have a tornado warning yet, but very well this thing could go tornadic as it comes into Dayton there. We've also got this other supercell that seems to have moved onto the stable side of the warm front. The warm front is right through Dayton right now, and that's a recipe for big problems. I have storm chased in the Dayton area some years ago, but first let's pull up the environment. And here is the RAP analysis, and this storm is right on the western gradient of this very strong 0 to 1 kilometer storm relative helicity. Big blob of 300 0 to 1 kilometer SRH is centered right over that blob of stable air. And really the best chance for tornadoes is on the western side of that stable air, right on the nose of that jet streak that's surging out. You can see those storm motions start to increase over 30 knots. Could very easily accelerate the supercell east-southeastward on approach to Dayton. It's right on the nose of the instability axis, 5,000 Cape there. See this prefrontal trough sagging into central Indiana. Some new storms, possibly around 3 even getting going there in east central Indiana. But you can see that instability just nosing into the southwestern corner of the Dayton area. Let's take a look at the surface map here so we can get an idea of what the real obs are there in Dayton. Good heavens me. Sure you guys can see this, but a nose of mid-70s dew points poking right into the Dayton area. Those winds are largely south-southwesterly near that warm frontal zone. To the west of it, over Indiana, you have west-southwesterly winds, almost like a dry line structure with temperatures warming into the 90s. warmer 700 millibar temps punching in from west to east. So really you got this nose of instability punching into the Dayton area. Dew points rising up into the mid 70s there. And you could definitely see that sharp warm frontal zone with temperatures to the west of the warm front rising into the upper 80s. Temperatures on the stable side are in the upper 70s. And that's what caused that original tornado producer to cross that warm front and end up dying as it moved into the stable air. Let's go back to the radar again so we can break down this storm. Tornado-warned storm that is absorbing this updraft. And right on the northwest side of Brookville, there you can see the satellite imagery here on the Radar Omega app. That's the dangerous portion of the storm, right near Dodson, north side of Brookville proper. Kind of see the satellite imagery of the town here of Brookville. And this thing is moving off to the east-southeast, definitely grazing the northern side of town there. Piermont, Clayton, Trotwood, northwest of Dayton needs to be in their safe place. This little hook is reaching down south of that cell merger. This is a little updraft that's getting absorbed into the forward flank boundary there. So that's likely just not going to have any negative impact on this storm. If anything, maybe even a positive impact. It could even accelerate the updraft, accelerate that mesocyclone. This hook is reaching down through the town of Brookville right now. Westerlies along its apex. And I very easily could see a circulation propagating into that notch and then producing a tornado as this thing comes into Brookville. So a dangerous tornado-warned storm. I'm not seeing anything that shows tornado on the ground just yet. This is just going to have to survive that merger. And then once it survives that merger, we'll likely see this mesocyclone intensify. Can kind of see a bit of an RFD surge here into the northwestern side of Brookville. A little bit of an area of a notch here with this RFD surging out across the northern side of Piermont into the west side of Brookville. This is the area that we got to watch out for that tornadic development. Right now, if we look at correlation coefficient, we're not seeing anything in the way of debris yet. This is likely superficial, just showing that inflow zone coming in here. Maybe pulling in grass and dirt and all kinds of stuff within that inflow zone. Probably more lobing issues. But it did survive that merger. Still has the hook intact. There's the hook-like appendage on the backside of the storm. This is the forward flank gust front that's a little bit less organized. Just absorbed that updraft, and so we're likely going to see this thing intensify now as it's heading into Dayton. There you can see that cell merger that happens just on the northwest side of Dayton. Look at that cell merger happening. But notice how the mesocyclone remains intact on the back end. So likely what we're going to see is a reinvigoration here of this supercell, re-intensification as it's heading into Dayton. Likely going to see that tornado warning extended. This is also on the nose of a jet streak, so those mid-level winds are on the increase, helping to accelerate the storm off to the southeast toward Dayton. Another alarming factor is the fact that this newly organizing forward flank gust front is pointing right in the direction of Dayton. That kind of shows you the direction that the mesocyclone is going to want to move and propagate. It's going to continue moving east-southeast toward the Dayton area from Brookville, where right now it doesn't have a tornado on the ground, but I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets a tornado very soon. This is a lone renegade supercell anchored on the warm front right now. Sure is. Thank you everybody for joining me for this emergency weather report as we are tracking this tornado-warned supercell just to the northwest of Dayton. This thing has a tornado warning, hook-like appendage trying to organize here just to the northwest of Brookville. Looks like that hook is getting a bit less organized. So after this cell merger, I likely will see this thing reinvigorate, may even form a new hook to the east of Brookville. You can see this forward flank gust front still very much intact and pointing in the direction of Dayton. I would bet the Weather Service right now is debating whether to extend that tornado warning downstream of Dayton. It does look like it just went through a cell merger. Looks like this mesocyclone, a new low-level mesocyclone, is organizing to the east side of Brookville. We've got kind of a large inflow zone also organizing here to the east of Brookville and Clayton. And eventually this RFD is likely going to come back around the south side here and very easily could intensify the circulation on the north side. Right now it is a little bit broad as it just survived that absorption of that updraft to the northwest of Trotwood, Ohio. But I'm keeping a very close eye on this thing. I even put on my dress shirt here, my Sunday vest. This is such an emergency here northwest of Dayton. Reminds me of that 2019 event with those supercells riding southeast along the warm front. Maybe not quite as vigorous of an upper system, but still a very dangerous system here. We are watching this in real time. Right now the updraft, the mesocyclone is a little diffuse, but as we can see by looking up at the top side of the storm, the updrafts have come down. The ecotops came down just a little bit after that merger. So that little absorption of that updraft has had just a slight detrimental effect on this storm, but it may also give it a chance to breathe and then re-intensify on approach to Dayton, heading east-southeast. There you can see those ecotops coming down just a little bit. That new ecotop there to the northwest of Fairborn as that storm is reinvigorated just a bit, but it's probably more of an elevated structure. But yeah, it looks like this storm probably should go severe once again as well. Fairborn probably getting some decent hail, maybe nickels falling on you right there. But I do think that this storm, it did absorb just this little updraft into the forward flank gust front, and I do think that this hook is going to get a little thicker. The inflow is coming in unimpeded right over Brookville right now. Probably got wall clouds all over the place. Probably a wall cloud just on the west side of town right now. You definitely want to be in your safe place if you're in Brookville, just because these can produce tornadoes so quickly. Clayton, you want to be in your safe place. Trotwood as well. This storm is heading off to the southeast toward the Dayton area. And I'm just going to keep this thing looping here as I'm going to get one of my organic stingers. I'm pretty hungry as I've been fasting a bit today, but I clearly need some sustenance, so I'll be right back. I'm back. I'm back, live again. And after that cell merger, Dayton decided to allow that tornado warning to expire and be replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning. But I'm still watching this dangerous storm as it's heading southeast toward Dayton. Just survived a bit of a cell merger there, but seems to have a tighter forward flank gust front once again. Also watching the mesocyclone on the backside to maybe get a better formed hook as this approaches Dayton from the northwest. Still a very dangerous storm, and I wouldn't be surprised if after that cell merger, and it's got that tighter forward flank gust front that's pointed right at Dayton, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing has enough time to spin back up before it heads into Dayton. And in fact, I can already see the inflow pop starting to accelerate here. Inflow coming in to the north of Trotwood. RFD still robust RFD wrapping around the south side. So I certainly would not be surprised if this storm gets another tornado warning before arrival in Dayton. And you can definitely see the forward flank gust front pointing right at the Dayton area. This mesocyclone just can continue tracking along that forward flank gust front. Could very easily impact the Dayton area. Very smooth laminar forward flank boundary, and that's usually a sign that these things could very easily go tornadic. Whenever the flow around a tornadic supercell is laminar and real smooth like this, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets reinvigorated again on approach to Dayton. So just because there's a severe thunderstorm warning issued for Dayton doesn't mean you're out of the woods. Keep a very close eye to those severe weather warnings. I think that this storm has a very good chance of strengthening once again and developing tornado potential on approach to Dayton. There you can even see that RFD gust front surging out to the north of New Lebanon there. Does look like that RFD is surging. Still got plenty of inflow to the north side. The rotation is relatively diffuse, but it likely has a big time wall cloud approaching the west side of Dayton. Probably a very intense supercell structure. In general, you got a large concave area in the inflow zone. A very sharp forward flank gust front, indicative of strong inflow into this storm. Coming in from the south. Big time inflow there. There you go. You can see that hook start to develop that more of a concave, almost a cyclonic curvature to it. Definitely starting to get more interesting. You're getting these northerly winds on the backside. A lot of potential vorticity streaming in from north to south there with these streamers as that circulation continues to develop. And then if that RFD pokes out just a little bit, notice how sharp this forward flank boundary is. We've been monitoring that ever since this thing had a little bit of a cell merger. That cell merger came in, sharpened up that forward flank gust front boundary there. And that also shows the direction that this mesocyclone is going to propagate. And the scary thing is that it's going to be heading straight in the direction of Dayton. You know, we've also got a hook that appears to be reinvigorated there. So I can't reiterate enough, just because this tornado warning has been dropped doesn't mean you're out of the woods in Dayton. This storm could easily develop new tornado potential on the approach to Dayton from the northwest. Got some folded velocities here, showing a strong surging RFD, surging from northwest to southeast. A lot of inflow coming in a storm relative sense, southeast to northwest. Hopefully it's going outflow dominant on approach to Dayton, but I still think that this is a dangerous storm approaching Dayton from the northwest. Look at that supercell, very laminar, smooth forward flank gust front. We watched this thing absorb that little updraft into its forward flank, and then look at the hook start to get more organized as it's coming around the backside. Definitely a pretty dangerous radar configuration. I've watched a lot of these, and I'd be thinking, wow, this thing's about to go tornadic again. The updraft still poking way up high into the troposphere, up about 55,000 feet there. Still a very dangerous storm. The tornado warning in Dayton has been replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning, but I do think there's going to be another tornado warning issued for this storm. It has plenty of time to survive that merger and to even be reinvigorated by it. There's ample wind shear in place here on the western periphery of 2 to 300, 0 to 1 kilometer SRH. And now there are no other updrafts either for this thing to absorb. Just have this major mesocyclone organizing, heading in the direction of Dayton. That mesocyclone is likely to propagate right along that forward flank gust front. Does look like there's quite a bit of outflow that this storm could be developing on, so it's possible that we could be losing some of the stable air, but upper 80s, mid 70s dew points streaming in from the southwest, right along this warm frontal zone. To the northeast of that, temperatures drop into the upper 70s to near 80. So there's a lot of convective inhibition on this side of the warm front. A lot of instability, though, coming in from southwest and northeast into the Dayton area. And now we've got new severe thunderstorm warnings firing up back near Indianapolis. This is mainly a hail producer on the northeast side of downtown near Fishers, north of Lawrence, but definitely some big hail out there. And this is a little bit further west of that warm frontal zone, so a lot of southwesterly winds associated with this. So mainly a large hail threat with that storm just to the northeast of Indianapolis. This one, though, I do think has the greatest tornado potential of any storm in the world right now. And does have a pretty concave zone of inflow flowing into this invigorated mesocyclone. A hook wrapping around the backside. So we're just going to keep on monitoring this as it's getting a little closer to Dayton. Let's see if this ramps up again on the next couple radar scans. So this is the second storm that we've been tracking all day today. The original one is long gone, but that one produced a tornado to the northwest of Noble, Indiana, just on the Indiana side of the border near Union City, northwest of Union City a ways, west-southwest of Salina. There it is. So that tornado happened up in this region, and there is quite a bit of damage reported up there to the northwest of Noble. I've been seeing some of those pictures of damage, and it does look like a pretty strong tornado up there. Probably at least an EF2, large cone tornado, and it looked like it produced a weak bird fart right after that. But so far, 2 tornadoes probably produced by these storms, and now it looks like we're shifting to more of a hail threat back further west. Look at all these storms blowing up on the leading edge of that jet streak. Likely going to see some monster hailers evolving here across central Indiana. Right now, a big hailer just to the northeast of Indianapolis near Fishers. And still tracking this storm near Dayton. Still worried that it could develop tornado potential on approach to town. So far, it looks good. It looks like the mesocyclone might even be weakening a bit. Looks like that RFD may have surged way out ahead of this thing, potentially choking it off, but still in Dayton with a severe thunderstorm warning. Stay tuned just in case a tornado warning is issued with this supercell storm approaching from the northwest. But there are some indications that maybe this storm has weakened a bit. But look at that cyclonic hook come around to the north of New Lebanon. So you're probably seeing a big low wall cloud to the northwest or west of Dayton right now. Certainly has a chance this thing could wrap up once again. Right now it looks relatively diffuse on radar. Let's look at echo tops to see if we can get an idea of the trend of this storm. And it does look like there's some indications that this storm might be going outflow dominant with some new updrafts here on the leading edge of that surging RFD. That would be a good thing for this storm as it's moving off to the east-southeast. But anytime there's a hook echo northwest of a major populated area, you definitely get concerned. It's possible that this storm developing right over the warm front near Dayton that moved off to the east and kind of collapsed on the stable side may have reinforced that warm front to such a point that it pushed that stable air back through the Dayton area, effectively saving Dayton from this tornado-warned storm that was evolving to the northwest of town, south of Greenville, that did eventually head toward the Dayton area. There you can see the front back just to the north of Indianapolis with it's probably the prefrontal trough with these storms developing along that prefrontal trough. Nose of instability poking into the Dayton area. Warm front north-northwest to south-southeast is going to lift east through the Ohio area, central Ohio. So right now this is the only storm that we're watching here in Dayton. Hook echo just to the northwest of town. No tornado warning. It does have a severe thunderstorm warning. Just survived a cell merger. But right now, not enough of a tornado threat to warrant a tornado warning in Dayton. But I'm going to keep watching this thing as this storm slides southeast. Maybe bringing some big hail. Maybe still a tornado threat to the Dayton area. But we're going to keep watching it here at Dominator Weather Headquarters. Never stop chasing. Briefing.